In March 2018, a couple was sitting at home when their phone rang, and what they would learn on that telephone call was the most exciting news they could possibly hear. But was it true? The real couple involved in this story did not want their names used, so I'll just refer to them as Bob and Mary. It was a day just like any other day when a senior couple named Bob and Mary were sitting in their house in Penticton, British Columbia, which is about 300 miles east of Vancouver. The phone then rang, and on the other end was a man who said his name was Michael Stanley, and that he was a representative for Publishers Clearinghouse. He asks for Mary by name, who was previously a subscriber to Publishers Clearinghouse. You might have heard of their Win $5,000 a Week for Life sweepstakes or maybe some other contest. This is a real company that offers real sweepstakes and real people do win it. And on this day, Michael Stanley had called up Bob and Mary to tell them that they had now won it too, in the massive form of $488,000. Mary and her husband Bob were overjoyed, and who wouldn't be after receiving news that you just won $500,000? The couple was told that all they had to do in order to collect this fortune was send $9,000 to cover the taxes, and in 1 week, a representative from Publishers Clearinghouse and RCMP, which is the Canadian federal government's police force, would be at their doorstep to safely deliver their prize. They figured, why not? $9,000 to cover the taxes? That's nothing. After all, we'll be getting back $488,000. So Bob went to the bank, got a money order for $9,000, and sent it to Michael Stanley at Publishers Clearinghouse. Then, 2 days before they expected this huge sum of money to show up at their doorstep, they received another call from Michael Stanley, who told them that the runner-up prize winner wasn't able to pay the tax on their prize. Therefore, if Bob and Mary sent in $8,000 more, they would have a chance to win another $350,000 on top of the $488,000 that was already coming to them. Bob and Mary saw this as a lucrative opportunity. However, they didn't have that kind of cash on them at the moment. But no worries, they borrowed the money from a friend and sent in the $8,000 for a chance to win that extra prize. By now, Bob and Mary thought they were good to go. Their $488,000 sum was on its way, and surely there would be no more problems. But sure enough, there were. Bob received yet another call from Michael Stanley, who was requesting additional money for different kinds of taxes and processing fees. It was at this point that Bob was suspicious and thinking maybe this whole thing was not as legitimate as it seemed. He started voicing his doubts to Michael Stanley, but Michael had a plausible explanation for all the delays and problems and assured Bob that everything's fine, all the money you've deposited so far is safe in an account, you can even access the account if you want. You can take the money out right now and walk away from this. Michael even put Bob in touch with someone from his bank's headquarters in Toronto who showed him the account, which held the $34,000. So Bob was a little relieved. However, a day later, Bob goes into his local bank branch. He sits down, hands them the account information, and tells them, "I'd like to access this account," and retrieve some of the money inside. And that's when he's informed by the bank that this account had been deemed fraudulent and had been frozen. At this point, the charade was over. Bob and Mary knew they had fallen for a scam. Michael Stanley didn't really work for Publishers Clearinghouse. The person pretending to be from Bob's bank was just some imposter that was in cahoots with Michael Stanley, or whatever his name really was, and the money was never really in an account for them to withdraw. Unfortunately for Bob and Mary, that $34,000 they had sent in, thinking they were paying the taxes in order to collect their prize money, was gone. Bob and Mary were victims of a popular scheme known as a sweepstakes or lottery scam. This is where con artists exploit people's eagerness to score a big payday or dream vacation. It starts when the victim gets an email, phone call, or notification on social media saying they won a prize. They're then prompted to send in money for taxes or other fees. In 2021, the Federal Trade Commission received over 148,000 reports of this, in which victims collectively lost $255 million. So yes, it happens a lot, and people do fall for it. Just beware when you receive an email or call claiming you've won a prize in some sweepstakes you don't even remember entering. And definitely be suspicious if you're asked to make an upfront payment to collect a prize. A sweepstakes will never ask you to pay for the thing you just won. Sweepstakes are free. That's it for today's episode. Again, hit that like and subscribe button, and until next time, keep your eyes open for scams.